Hello and welcome back to the magazine. We are having technical hitches, but we are back nonetheless. And I'm still with Emmanuel Ahonya, who is my guest today. He's an author and he also serves at one of the local churches here in Nairobi, Nairobi Chapel, if you would like to know where he serves. And Emmanuel, before we got interrupted, I asked you a question if you can remember yourself. Um, if you could remember yourself when you were serving then, what you had told yourself you're going to be or you wanted to be when you grow up.
Yes.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, that's what I was talking about. That
Yes.
I remember myself, and
Hmm.
I had mentioned, the maroon Bible that
Yes.
I used to carry around.
Hmm.
I also
Hmm.
mentioned the different opportunities that were open for me,
Hmm.
just serving, singing in the Sunday school, citing verses, going for missions with adults,
Hmm.
Sunday school, the crusades, and all that.
Hmm.
And those were, I would say, they were quite markers which set pace for me um, in my ministry life, but also
Hmm.
my Christian life.
Hmm.
But one thing that I was going to mention actually, that I also remember is,
Hmm.
once as I used to say I want to be a pastor. I also
Hmm.
remember my dad, my father, and
Hmm.
a few of the friends. By the way, one thing that used to happen is, which again I mentioned, that our parents used to host ministers uh,
Hmm.
at home most
Hmm.
of the time. That we used even to have night vigils in the house at home.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I remember my father and some of the friends, they started calling me pastor. Yeah, they started calling me pastor, 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 pastor. So that was my nickname. Who gets
Hmm.
such a nickname for their,
Hmm.
7 year or 8 year old boy?
Hmm.
And for that, I also posed and just challenged the parents out there who may be listening to us that,
Hmm.
you know, scripture says that train your child in the way that he should go, and when he grows up, he won't depart.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
my encouragement to them is that, do not hesitate exposing your child to ministry. Do not
Hmm.
hesitate exposing your child to church. And I
Hmm.
mentioned just before the technical issues that, when some of us may relate to this, that in our days when it's Sunday and
Hmm.
our parents are going to church, the house
Hmm.
will be locked and we will be
Hmm.
told, if you don't want to go to church, as long as my house is locked, nobody stays in this house when it's a Sunday. Everybody has to be out. And
Hmm.
I think that also it builds the children's faith life. And
Hmm.
something else I mentioned, my favorite verse as a child, the let the little children come to me, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. And most
Hmm.
of the times, we want to think that children do not understand. Children cannot receive the gospel. Children don't know what to do. And even when we go with them to church, what we
Hmm.
say is that, let them sit with the children's pastor or in the Sunday school. And we think the children's pastor, the Sunday school's role, we have reduced it to the role of babysitting. We think that let them stay there as we adults, worship
Hmm.
and fellowship
Hmm.
and hear the word. And then we assume that for them, they don't understand anything, they can't do anything. But
Hmm.
by fact, Jesus Christ took children seriously. Jesus
Mhm.
Christ thought that these little children can learn the truth. They can, the children at the kingdom of heaven actually belongs to such. And
Mhm.
my encouragement is that expose your child to ministry, to growing up, just knowing the ways of the Lord. Get him out, let him go for camps, let him serve even in church, let him sing
Mhm.
in church, let him sign
Yeah.
up, and by that, you never know. He may stray at some point, but
Mhm.
eventually he will still come back to the way. And George, for a moment, allow me just to again just say what I also, in a sense, partly admire about the Islam, the Muslims. I think
Mhm.
Muslims, that's where they beat Christians. They are
Mhm.
so intentional about the discipleship of their children that
Mhm.
immediately the child is born,
Mhm.
the father takes that role of, this child has to grow as an Islam. And once they
Mhm.
get to that age that they can comprehend, they are taken to madrasa, and which
Mhm.
it's taken seriously for them.
Mhm.
They learn it. But on this other side, Christians, we think, ah, they are just children. I mean, they will figure it out. They
Mhm.
have a choice. They choose, which is true. They'll choose, but then the foundation is so important. Scripture again says
Mhm.
that when the foundation is destroyed, what will the
Mhm.
righteous do? So
Mhm.
those early years, I think they really formed my faith, my
Mhm.
journey, and all that. And
Mhm.
well, this is a story of another day, George. I
No,
want
no,
you. I
no.
want you that.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
You still have time.
Oh, I want you. So let me tell you a story.
Mhm.
When I was, I think, age eight.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
mentioned earlier that I schooled in a village school. And
Mhm.
I don't know about you, George. By the way, tell me, where did you grow? I may be talking to someone who grew up in town, and you are not relating.
I want to ask you a question. Do you
Please.
think I went to school in a village school, or I went to school in an urban school?
I think you went
Mhm.
to a group of school as the rest of us went to, you know.
Hey, okay.
They
Okay,
usually say that they that.
so let me tell you my background. I went to a village school in Bungoma County.
Mhm.
I
Mm,
think
okay.
the sub county is Nzoia. I don't know what they call it, but I went to Nzoia Primary School. My father was
Mhm.
he used to work in Nzoia company, so I went to the school. Back then, it was very good. Back in the years then, you could
Mhm.
yeah relate it to what you're saying. After that, I went to Bungoma High School.
Ah, oh, I'm from I have a actually my cousin went to Bungoma High School,
Mhm. Which year was
and
that?
uh, well, just the other day. I think he was there
Okay.
since 2010, 2010,
Those are those
2012,
are those are
2011. I think
tho-
from 2011.
okay. Those are like 10 years after I was there.
Oh, sorry.
Anyway, continue with your story. You wanted to know if I'm from a village school, so
Yes.
I understand you. Say what you want to say.
I wanted to know if you are from group of, so yeah,
Group of
and
schools.
I think even those, yeah, I think even those who are in group of schools can pick a thing.
Mhm,
So if you can't, let me tell you something. In the village, there were no school buses for starters, Gen
mhm,
Zs and
mhm,
Gen Alphas. So we were
mhm,
not taken to school by a school bus in the village.
mhm,
You
mhm.
have to walk to school and walk back
Or if you
home.
had a bike,
And
you would use a bike.
or use a bike, use
Mhm,
a bike to school.
mhm, mhm,
So I remember this particular school, which it will take us, I think, roughly 45 minutes just to walk from home to the school.
mhm,
Even right now, if you walk, that it's a distance of roughly 45 minutes. And
mhm,
in between, just before you get home, there's a river. So
mhm,
you have to cross this river and climb a hilly place. And
mhm,
that road had not been made that time, so it was bushy. So I
mhm,
remember there are some places where you pass and the bushes are going all over you. They have sealed not to the top, so
mhm,
you're just passing in between the bushes. And one of
mhm,
the most scary parts of our school days was when it rains. Sorry,
mhm,
when it rains.
mhm,
When it rains, you will be scared that it would flood. And
mhm,
once it floods, that river will be impassable because the bridge of that river was, these cut-offs from a tree. The
mhm,
cut-offs, that's
mhm,
what would made the timber, the bridge,
mhm,
just one or two.
mhm,
So when it rains and the cutoff and the bridge is swept away
mhm,
and it's flooded, and you have small legs, you can't cross over. So we could stand on the other end and shout and call, just in case there's somebody on the other end who's an adult who can come and help us cross over.
mhm, mhm,
Anyway, I digress. So
mhm,
one time in our school, there comes some guys who are, vaccinating,
mhm,
and they were giving vaccines to us. So we were jabbed, and that day walked back home. And after walking back home, I went to bed just to sleep a little bit. I think that's one thing when I was young. My father used to insist on that. He used to tell me that you know what, um, for you to grow tall and to grow quickly, you need to sleep during the day. So I
mhm,
think after school I would go to sleep. So this one day I go to sleep, and when I wake up, man, I couldn't walk.
mhm,
Um, I was, and so my sister, my eldest sister, her firstborn, was in the kitchen, and she sees me, and she notices this guy is not walking. What's wrong, Emmanuel? Calls me, and I go to a place, and I completely lost it. I couldn't walk. I was paralyzed. Uh, there was an aunt who is now late, who came. She was passing by, and she was a drunkard. So she had just come from
mhm,
drinking some alcohol. So she was
mhm,
tipsy. So she came, carried me, and was taking me to the hospital. Of course, your gaze is as straight as mine. We fell several times along the way because it was a hilly road
mhm,
until now. One guy who used to help my grandmother with the kettles just came and
mhm,
carried me on his shoulders, took me to the hospital. In the
mhm,
hospital, actually a clinic again, we were
mhm,
told that, hey, this young man, he should not even spend at home. He should not stay home. He should be rushed to
mhm,
the district hospital, which is Mbale Hospital, if you heard of it.
mhm,
So, but then was taken back home, uh, and then the following morning taken to the hospital.
Mhm.
Well, let me not get into that story so much because that's another book that is in cooking, and I don't want to. Let's say I tell you everything, and then the next time I launch that book, you don't
Mm.
reinvite me to this. So,
I will reinvite you, my brother. I will reinvite you.
but the point that I was driving at was, I remember one day, because
Mhm.
after I've been admitted for several months in the hospital and then back home, and then by the way, samples, blood samples, stool samples, and all that were taken, uh, and they were told they are going to test in a lab in Nairobi.
Mhm.
A day up to date, we've never found out the results of those samples. I don't even know what happened. I don't know. Nobody ever has ever known. I don't know if the doctors did the test. I don't know. But I remember this one day, and my father was carrying me to the hospital because now I had to go to a clinic
Mhm.
for jabs occasionally.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I remember as he was waiting for. By then, my father was had been transferred from Nakuru to Chavakali, so he was staying in Chavakali. So
Mhm.
I remember him carrying me, and as we were waiting for a matatu just to ferry me to Mbale clinic,
Mhm.
I think I felt for my dad. I felt sad for him, and I remember telling him, "Dad, don't worry. I have faith.
Mhm.
I will heal."
Mhm.
And yeah, so I think that's when my faith started growing. And
Mhm.
yeah, a few weeks, I think a month or so later, I got better. And yeah, here I am. I can walk, I can run, I can do all that
Mhm.
by faith.
Mhm.
So, what I was saying is that even little children, even small children,
Mhm.
can have faith, they can
Mhm.
know Christ, and they
Mhm.
can be in Christ. So, yeah,
Mhm.
no, you who you're listening to us and you've been wondering, does this child even understand what it means to be a Christian? And
Mhm.
is it even important for him to go to be taken to church and
Mhm.
to, all that? The hard Sundays can be busy, Sundays can be hectic, but be encouraged. Just
Mhm.
check them there because
Mhm.
you don't know what that will turn.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that is my early childhood. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, some of these stories I've never told them before anywhere. So you guys are lucky.
It is okay. Thank you so much for sharing your story. When we come back, we talk about your ministry right now at Nairobi Chapel, what you do. And I don't know why I should say this, but I will say it. One of your pastors, his name is called Festus. You know him, right?
Yes, yes, I know Pastor
Uh,
Festus Somoto.
go and ask him about me.
Oh my.
This world is so small. Uh, go and ask
Wow.
him about me.
I
we
will. I will.
Yes. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we talk about your ministry at Nairobi Chapel and your book, which is why you're here. Keep it Bloom Radio. You can catch us up on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, or you can also live stream us live on www.bloomradio.co.ke. Keep it Bloom Radio, the best of you.